Hey, what's up, guys? It is Dive, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to Party on Broad. The Party on Broad podcast can be found on iTunes and Spotify. Make sure you hit that and smash that subscribe button. Guys, if you're watching us here on YouTube, today the Philadelphia 76ers took the L 128-101. And before, I might be smiling on the outside, but believe me, guys, if you watched our halftime show, I am just melting on the inside. Man, let's talk about our guest today. He is my man, Tiago. Follow him on Twitter at @tscabia. What's going on, Tiago?
Man, these are the type of games that you watch in the playoffs as a spectator, and you're like, I would hate to be the fan of that franchise, right? We made fun of Boston last year when they lost. They got their tails handed to them at Milwaukee, and we laughed it off. I think we experienced tonight what was like to be a Celtics fan last year. And I'll tell you, it's not good, man. This is not good. This is not good.
It's not good. And also joining us today is my man, Serge. Follow him on Twitter at Serge Kumos. What's going on, Serge?
Just going off what Thiago said, it's tough. It's tough being on a losing end. You know, I think for the past 3-4 years, more so 3 years, we've been kind of go with the Sixers in terms of the postseason. You know, guaranteed second round always, but now I don't think we're gonna make it out of the first one. So it's tough times ahead.
We touched a lot about this. We're going to talk about our top takeaways from the game. We're going to do some player grades of all the main players here. But, man, I'm going to lead us off here with my top takeaway. And I touched on this during the halftime live show. And it's the definition of insanity, man. It's doing the same thing over and over and over again and expect different results. And you look at Al Horford. This dude is a square peg in a round hole. Through and through, all season long. Yes, he had like 2 moments before the All-Star break, right before the season was suspended, that he showed at least some sign of life. This dude at one point had 8 points. 8 points in 51 minutes. Not good enough. Josh Richardson. I am so done with Josh Richardson. This dude is so overrated. Overrated. And don't get me started on Josh Richardson. I don't want to hear about his defense. I'm tired of his ISO ball. I'm tired of his hero ball. Get him off the team. And then we move on to, Tobias Harris. I love Tobias Harris. This dude is so much more than a basketball player. This dude is on and off the court, a class act. He is so respectful. I love, love, love Tobias Harris, but I'm sorry. I am tired of his inconsistent shooting from 3. I'm tired of it. This roster is flawed. We all knew this going in. We all talked about this during game 1. This roster is so flawed through and through. Whether that's Brett Brown's fault, whether that's Elton Brown's fault, I am just so done with this team. And I've got the Flyers in the background here who actually give a damn. You saw Joel Embiid just completely flabbergasted. He was done in that third quarter. The Sixers got outscored 71-42 in the second and third quarters after just bawling out their eyes in the first quarter. They look great. This is Sixers basketball. They are a roller coaster team that show flashes of greatness and flashes of just shit hitting the fan, and I'm just tired of it. Carter Hart is amazing. Go watch the Flyers. Stop watching Party on Broad. Go watch the Flyers. They deserve it. Go, Thiago. You're up, man.
Don't stop watching. Watch after the show. There's so many takeaways. There's so many.
Whoa, Flyers score. Flyers score.
Yeah. Beautiful. The power play keeps on going. There's so many takeaways. I'll say this, and I'm going to state the obvious, but ever since he went down with an injury, there has been a movement around the fact that the Sixers are perhaps a better team without Ben Simmons. And let me just state the obvious. The Sixers are a train wreck without Ben Simmons. And I'm going to tell you why. So the Sixers today attempted 21 three-pointers. Boston attempted 43 three-pointers. The Sixers made 5. Boston made 19. Now you're going to say, what does that have to do with Ben Simmons? Ben Simmons doesn't shoot the ball. Ben Simmons doesn't, he doesn't have a 3-point shot. Ben Simmons is the reason why this team gets open looks over and over again. And without him, they simply do not have a shot creator that can remotely match any team in the league, much less Boston. So that's number one. Number two, Jason Tatum, after going off for God knows how many points last time, 33 points, 12 for 20, 8 for 12 from the three-point line. Now, Matisse Thybulle is a nice player. He's tremendous on defense. We all know that, what he is on the defensive end. Matisse Thybulle is not Ben Simmons. And I will tell you right now, if the Sixers had Ben Simmons out there, Tatum wouldn't even be close to the output that he's had so far in this series. So that is the one takeaway for the folks who think that the Sixers are better off without Ben Simmons because there's some plus-minus stat with Embiid on and Simmons off, blah, 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 blah. Watch the game and watch what's happening out there. And then tell me that the Sixers do not desperately need Ben Simmons moving forward. That's my main takeaway.
At least maybe we can, for once, close the book that the Sixers need Ben Simmons because that's all we've heard on Philly Sports Radio year after year after year. Nathan is joining us tonight. Thanks for joining, Nathan.
Yes.
If coaching a basketball game is similar to assembling a puzzle and playing a game of chess, I am convinced that Brett Brown is both spatially and logically impaired. Man, I put out a tweet. Thanks, Nathan, for the comment. I put out a tweet earlier that, this is the end of Brett Brown. And it was MB just like facing the wall, literally just like completely dumbfounded. Serge, go ahead, man. What's a takeaway from this loss, man?
Yeah, going off what you said about Brett Brown, I think that if you look at a coach like Brad Stevens, I think he has 20 to 25 years on a coach like if you look at Brett Brown, he has 25 or 30 years on a coach like Brad Stevens. And to have a young coach like that outsmart a coach that once was on the sideline of Greg Popovich, I mean, what are we doing, right? I just think he's not the man for the job. Like I said at halftime, he came in 2013 when the team was really in shambles. He came to help out a little bit, but now we're trying to go for a championship. I think Elton Brand and the whole front office need to look at the situation, saying that we need to get him out of this job. He's just not the man for it. The team is slowly building egos, like with the guys like Ben Simmons and Embiid. They're both all-stars. We need a guy who can manage egos. I always thought that Eric Spoelstra would be a good fit for the Sixers, but we know he's never going to leave Miami. That's his home. So, yeah, Tobias was terrible. Richardson was terrible. Al Horford was a dumpster fire, overall. So I just think that the front office needs to really look over the summer in terms of replacing Coach Brett Brown.
I mean, it's over, right? Like, there's no way they're coming back from a 2-0 deficit at all. No chance against the Boston Celtics. Quill says, Sixers need Ben. Agreed, Tiago. Nathan also says, yo, what's up, man?
What's up, man?
There's no way the Sixers are coming back 2-0. Don't come back. Don't do it. There's no way it's happening. Not the way the offensive scheme, the defensive scheme. And that's got to be the other takeaway of this game, man. I'm sorry. 128 points given up to the Boston Celtics. That's not Sixers basketball. Total turnovers. The Sixers had 9 turnovers and gave up 128 points. They got out-rebounded by the Boston freaking Celtics. Again, out-rebounded. Offensive rebounds, 10-7. 33 defensive boards, 32 by the Sixers. That can't happen. And the Sixers did have more points off turnovers. Fast break points. That's the bread and butter of the Philadelphia 76ers. And you touched on it, Tiago. If the Sixers are predicated on disrupting the passing lanes and getting out on the perimeter, no Ben Simmons, no points off turnovers. And I'm sorry, Matisse. I'm sorry, Shake. I love you guys to death. They're like, I'm a homer for these two guys. They're just not ready. And I don't know what else to say. I covered Shake during his first year with the Blue Coats. Love that guy to death. Matisse Thybulle was my number one guy on my draft board the year we drafted him. They're not ready. They're not ready. What about you, Tiago?
Yeah, I'm not even going to look at the numbers because let's call it like it is. The second half was an embarrassment. And for lack of a better word, they just did not compete in the second half, period. So I think the conversation we need to have is obviously Brett Brown's time here is probably up. But the conversation we need to have moving forward is what type of coach does this team need? Because the other main takeaway that I got from this game was, I don't know if you guys noticed, when Embiid checked out of the game, I mean, he had that look of a guy who just about had it.
Did you see him go at it with Josh Richardson?
Yes.
See that?
Yeah. So when your franchise player is giving you that look, that is a huge problem because he's one step away from saying, get me out of here. And the moment Joel Embiid says, get me out of here, this franchise is done. So whatever the Sixers want out of their coaches moving forward, I would highly suggest for them to consult Joel Embiid and consult Ben Simmons. Because if they are not happy moving forward, that is a huge problem. And Joel Embiid did not look happy when he checked out of the game today at all. So that is another huge takeaway that I had from today's game.
Nathan says, yo, Kenny Atkinson. My man, Joey. What up, Joey D? Check out his newsletters at The Painted Line. So good. He said the fact that you're all doing this pod right now is insane. Dude, it's a full circle, man. This is what we do with being and I said it before. It's the definition of insanity. It's what we do. We have Jason joining us today. Thank you so much, Jason, for joining. He says, agree, Dives. Shake and Matisse are currently good bench guards on a good team. I agree. They're not ready to be contenders. And then we said Coyle.
Oh, man.
Why the hell not? Bring him back.
Bring back the triangle.
All right, Sarah. Jeremy, any other takeaways before we get to player grades?
Yeah, I just think I kept scrolling through Twitter, and I kept seeing how much we're paying Al Horford and Tobias Harris. So it's the worst contracts in the NBA. Can't take it away at this point. No team's gonna pick it up. So we're basically dumping our money into a fire, really, with those two guys. I think Harris, they did at one point they were calling him like a poor man's Carmelo Anthony last year when he had those offensive streaks going on, but he's just too inconsistent. I mean, we're talking about a guy that can start the game like 3 or 4 from the field, and the next quarters he's just, he cools off really quickly. And Al Horford is just way past his prime, I think, to be honest. So, yeah, the worst contracts in the NBA right now. So, I mean, they're on our books, so we got to keep it that way for now, unfortunately. It's terrible, man. Yeah, it's just like it's a lot of money for two guys who are playing mediocre basketball. I mean, come on.
Yeah, my last takeaway here is I so much hate the Boston Celtics, man. Like, where does this loss rank in terms of like most deflating loss in Sixers history? It's got to be up there. And you know what my first thought is? I go straight to that game. I think it was like 2017 when Ben Simmons had 0 points. He left up a goose egg versus the Boston Celtics in the playoffs. And that's where I went straight with this game. It's like I am so deflated. I am embarrassed to be a Sixers fan. That I'm not even mad at the Sixers. Sure. I am not mad at the Sixers. I'm mad at my fucking self for believing that they had a chance in this stupid series.
Chris, that team competed. I mean, you can say whatever you want about that team that lost to Boston 2 years ago. Yeah, but that competed, man. And those games were close. Like, it was a shot here, a shot there. They could have won that.
They had an offense.
Yeah, they got crushed for that outcome. But it was a young team, a lot of rookies, young guys. Embiid, Ben Simmons, their first go around together. This team has no excuse for putting out the effort that they put out, especially in today's game. They have no excuse. So whatever avalanche of crap that this team got 2 years ago, it should be quadruple that this time around. Point blank.
And sorry, Serge, I love you so much, and I love Furkan Korkmaz so much.
Man.
But there's another better example of this roster construction than Furkan Korkmaz. That dude cannot play in the playoffs. Like we built this guy up and built this guy up. Such a successful year by Furkan. Hands down, prove me wrong. Hands down, I was so impressed. Here we are. It's like we talk ourselves that, oh, yeah, Furkan's going to shoot 40% from three in the playoffs. All is good. We're back at square one, and it's just I'm just mad at myself. Any take on that, Serge?
Yeah, man. I mean, he was having a great year. I know he had 34 against the Bulls. I want to say back in the winter, which feels like a year ago, but it's not. But yeah, he was just killing it, man, in terms of his hype. The fans love him. Goat Miles or whatnot they call him on Twitter. Yeah, I've been seeing that. It's crazy. But yeah, just he's having a good year now. It just feel like it's going back down. So I'm not sure where it goes from here for him. Strength wise, he seems like he's not there. He's trying to fight off screens and he's just getting pushed up too easily. So in terms of what he was doing back in January and February, I just don't see it happening against the Celtics.
Nathan says this roster looks much better under a different coach. And get ready, guys. And what makes me so mad about this, because the Sixers aren't coming back, but what makes me so mad about this is we're going to get spoon-fed by the freaking ESPN media gang that the Sixers should trade Ben Simmons and or Joel Embiid this summer, or I guess this winter, whatever the hell this offseason takes place. But it's going to be so maddening. It's going to be so frustrating. No, the Sixers are not getting rid of Joel Embiid. They're not getting rid of Ben Simmons. It's about getting a new coach and finding a system that gets Embiid the ball down low again and again and again. You know what I think of when you watch the Sixers? I think of Tom Brady and the Patriots. I think of Tom Brady and Deion, Butler or Branch, the wide receiver. That guy finds mismatches. That guy exploits them again and again and again. The Sixers don't do that.
Chris.
They never do that. They will find something that works, and you'll not see that fucking 2 quarters from now. It's so maddening. I don't understand that. I don't know if that's Brett Brown. I don't know if it's a lack of roster construction. I don't know what it is.
Chris.
I do know what it is. Brett Brown.
What is the main argument people use when they want to break up Embiid and Simmons, right? It always goes back to what? It goes back to spacing, right? They don't complement each other. They're a terrible complementing offense. One guy gets in the way of the other.
Yeah.
Watch the Sixers. Watch Embiid without Ben Simmons. They still have the same spacing issues on the court. Guys get in the way. Guys, don't flash for passes. No. It's a clusterfuck. So it's not Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. It's the whole thing. Are the players around them? How they work together? It's people need to watch the game and understand that those two players, yes, they have fit issues, but it's common for most NBA teams to have similar type of fit issues. When they're on the court together and when they're complemented with good players, they are unstoppable. So let's watch the game and not go off on some tangent about trading Embiid and Simmons again, because it's not going to happen, and it should not happen. They just need better players.
All right, I'm sorry I ran on a tangent there. My bad. Jared, any last comment before we get into player grades?
Yeah, so I got to ask you, man. Tiago, you're what's your thoughts on because people were going off on Twitter about Neto in terms of how he got more playing time than Al Burks. I know you're a native of Brazil, man. So you're countryman. So what's your take on that, man? Putting on the spot here, I know, but I don't know.
Just because we talk bad on your guy Korkmaz, now you got to talk bad on Neto.
Hey man. I just I was answering that question. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna swing this one if I can. So, but I like Neto, man. I think yeah.
How about we combine Neto and Korkmaz and maybe we get a half decent player out of it and just
yeah, man. Yeah, right. It's just combine it two, see what happens, right? I'm not sure that's you never know.
Yeah, I will be the minority in this one. The way the Sixers offense was rolling, I didn't really have an issue with Neto coming in before Burks. I shoot myself in the foot here because that was like the top positive takeaway from game one was Burks that I just raved about. So I understand the Sixers had a Thanos gauntlet of turnovers in that first quarter in game one. They wanted to kind of maintain, some sort of semblance of, offense and keep the turnovers limited. I think they only had one turnover in that first quarter. It was rolling. And so I don't fault Brett too much, but that was a really interesting move. Go ahead, Tiago.
No, I think you touched on it, Chris. I think they had a good game plan coming in. I actually thought Brett had a pretty good first quarter. I think everything fell apart when they started combining lineups, and specifically Horford and Embiid. Those minutes were horrifying offensively. Embiid did not have the same type of space to work around what he had previously, which is four shooter and then sometimes and for most of the year they do not react well when things go poorly, and that has been a common thread with this team, especially when we're on the road, and it was again today. They just do not have any answers. They flat out quit. There's just no other way to say it. So
meanwhile, the Flyers are now down 4-2. What just happened?
Oh man, what's
Carter Hart, I think. What is going on? Just the shit keeps hitting the fan. Nathan says, Tiago, you're exactly right about Embiid. That's partly Embiid's fault for jacking up all those perimeter shots. Part of that is Brett Brown. Part of that's Embiid's conditioning. Part of that is just, he's tired at the end of these games, and that's on Embiid. That is 100%. Embiid wants to be the best player in the NBA. At least I hope so. He's not showing it. So, I don't blame Embiid at all for this game. That guy wanted it. He's just clearly very, very frustrated. I think with Brett Brown. I think it's very clear of what we're watching right now. So let's go on to player grades. Tobias Harris, 13 points, 35 minutes, 11 boards. He was a minus 21, 4 of 15 from the floor. F. Tiago.
Yeah. We talked about this last game, Chris. He has to shoot 3-pointers. He made 0 3-pointers. He shot 2 3-pointers. Let me tell you the players in Boston who made more 3-pointers. Semi Ojeleye, Grant Williams, Enes Kanter, Brad Wanamaker, something Green. I don't even know who that Green person is. And Romeo Langford. Now, you tell me if that's the type of production you should be getting out of your power forward.
I watched Langford at the 76ers Fieldhouse covering a game for the Bluecoats. That guy had more 3-pointers in a massive game than Tobias Harris. I'm done. It's
an F, and it's an F, and it's going to continue to be an F until he understands that his role is to shoot and hit open 3-pointers. And he can do that at a high level, but he refuses to do so. So here we are again.
Sarge, great.
Yeah, I got an F as well. There was one point in the game, I think it was maybe late in the third, I posted on Twitter, where he got the board, Tobias, and he went up with it, trying to, I think, do an and one, and he missed it from point blank range, and it was a banking shot, and he missed it, so that kind of sealed the deal for an F.
All right, let's move on to Joel Embiid. 34 points in 34 minutes. He had 10 boards. He was a minus 21 on the court. I hate plus minus. It's good if you want it to be. It's bad if you want it to be. So 11 from 21 from the floor. I am fine with Embiid today. I don't blame him at all. If there's like a list of players to blame, he is not even near, the players to blame. I give Embiid a solid B to B plus. What about you, Tiago?
Yeah, I thought Embiid in the first half was really good. I thought that he started the game. He was engaged. He was getting deep post position, like we talked about. He was making the right decisions, and he really took over the game in that first stretch in the first half. I thought that Boston went into a zone in the second half, and it kind of really schemed him out of the game. So the second half becomes kind of incomplete because of the scheme that Boston put around them. But overall, I think it was a solid show from Joel. I think a B plus serves him right for sure.
All right, I have no idea what's going on, but apparently it's back to 3-2 Canadians over the Flyers. There you go. What about you, Serge?
I got him as a B plus A. I thought Embiid got his, in terms of a double-double. I just think he showed his dominance as an all-star. He really stuck out because he was the only one that actually played a worthy game. So I thought B plus A is what I would give him.
Awesome. Let's go on to Josh Richardson. 18 points in 29 minutes. I thought Jay Rich had a solid first half of anything. Like he actually was making threes when they needed it. I think he made one where he stopped the bleeding. That was like just brutal in that third quarter. That third quarter was really some of the worst Sixers basketball I've ever seen. Jay Rich, I'd probably give him a D to D minus. What about you, Tiago?
Yeah, I mean, he is what he is, right? So at this point, he's a D plus, C minus kind of player in this series. And the question I have is that enough to beat Boston? Obviously, it's not. So can you get more out of Josh Richardson moving forward? You can't. He is what he is. So you may have one of those games that he had against Miami early in the year that he just goes off, but you need consistency from Josh Richardson. You need him to understand again that he has to take open shots. He doesn't do that. So, he's a C plus player at this point. So I'll give him a C.
Serge.
I got a C as well. Like you were saying, Chris, I think you had a really good first half. Was hitting, shots that were open, shots that were contested. I thought he was good in the first half. Really faded in the second. Didn't really see much of that offensive streak he got going on in the second half of the game. So I have got a C.
All right, let's go on to Matisse Thybulle. 2 points. Team worst minus 30 in 25 minutes. When you talk about Matisse Thybulle, you got to go straight to steals and blocks. He had 0 goose eggs for both of those. I know this one's hard. I'm a homer, of course, with Matisse, but I thought he made Jason Tatum work pretty well in that first half. I thought Jason Tatum was incredible tonight, and I thought he earned every single bucket he got, and there were no easy shots from Tatum. I will give Matisse Thybulle a C. What about you, Tiago?
Yeah, so I'm going to give Matisse an incomplete grade because I think Matisse, like what they asked for Matisse to do today is borderline criminal, right? So you got a guy who is like an all-star, who's playing at an all-time level, and you basically say, you know what, Matisse, go out there, play in your second playoff game, and go shut him down. Like that is not a Matisse Thybulle issue. That is a roster construction issue. And the Sixers, who have punted over and over again on developing depth, developing guys, developing shooters, developing defenders, now are in a position where they have to go and ask your rookie to go out there and stop, Jason Tatum. And guess what? It was never going to happen. I mean, Matisse, I thought, competed. I thought he did a very good job, defending without fouling, which is a huge thing for him. But Tatum was red hot, and it was just not going to happen. So the way to approach that is really through more like a team-oriented concept rather than just having Matisse go out there and be the hero. On top of the fact that their pick-and-roll coverage on Tatum is borderline criminal as well. I mean, Thybulle gets washed off the screen, Embiid is 40 feet back, and Tatum has a wide-open look. So a lot of that goes more on the scheme than Thybulle, I think. So I'll give him an incomplete grade.
All right, Serge.
Yeah, just to go off of what Tiago said, you're asking a rookie to guard an all-star, right? They're the same age, but we know that they're roughly the same age, but we know that Matisse is only a rookie, whereas Tatum is, I believe, got drafted back in 2017. So, I mean, you're asking a rookie to guard an all-star. It's just not going to happen in his only second ever playoff game. So, just a bad choice, I think, from the Sixers coaching staff.
All right, let's go on to Shake Milton. Shake had 14 points in 29 minutes, 4 assists. He was 2 for 5 from 3. He hit his first bucket with a runner in the lane. He had a turnaround jumper with a shot clock on his back. He really was one of the standouts in that first quarter, 7 points in 8 minutes. And then it was kind of just meh. Kind of meh. Shake Milton, let's go C minus D plus. I mean, what more can you really ask for from Shake? It goes back to roster construction. We're relying, like Matisse Thybulle, on a guy to kind of just play out of his mind, and that's not who Shake is. I'm sorry. It's just this guy should not be in the starting lineup on a team that needs to beat the Boston Celtics in the playoffs. Tiago.
I mean, you touched on it again, Chris. The role you're asking Shake to do is insane. But I think it'd be a little bit harsh on him. I thought that he had a pretty good game. I thought he was actually their second best player. And when you talk about moving forward, Shake Milton is a guy you either keep moving forward or a guy you flip for a guard or something that can come in and play right away. I think Shake has done enough here in this series to prove his worth to this team. And I thought that he was really good again tonight. I mean, obviously he has some defensive deficiencies, but I look at fouls, only 3 fouls. I look at turnovers, only 1 turnover in 29 minutes. That's really good for a guy who's in his second playoff game. So I was pleasantly surprised with Shake once again. I give him a B.
Serge.
Yeah, I have him at a in terms of the first quarter. I really like that turnaround jump shot you're talking about, Chris. The shot clock winding down, he was able to hit it. But I have him at a C. Just after that, he really faded away, kind of like Jay Rich. He was doing really well in the first quarter. Second half came, didn't see a whole lot from Shake, but I'm sure he'll bounce back somehow, coming off the bench maybe in the next few games.
All right, let's finish this off with Mr. Al Horford. 4 points. Don't laugh. Don't laugh, man. Come on, Tiago. Be respectful. No, I'm 4 points in 23 minutes. 2 for 3 from the field. 2 boards and a block. I mean, is there a worse contract in the NBA? I want to know about it. That signing might go down in terms of like Philly sports worst contracts of all. I've never seen a player just go downhill. Like other than Andrew Bynum, like where does Horford where is he rank in this? Like this guy has been absolutely terrible, and it's to the point now where if he gets like 5 or 6 points in a game, woohoo! Like that's how bad it is. Obviously F. What about you, Tiago?
Chris, when you say Andrew Bynum, please knock on wood, because every time Al Horford steps on the court, I just keep telling myself, please don't tear an ACL. Please don't tear an Achilles, because that contract off an injury would be quadruple times as catastrophic as it is now. So the best thing that Sixers fans can hope for with Al Horford now is to make sure that he closes out the season healthy, and they can maybe look to flip him in the offseason. When I watch Al Horford play it now, I just go straight to Twitter and see the tweets from his sister, who was advocating for Brad Stevens to be the Sixers coach as the game was going on. So it's quite comical at this point. Look at that.
I still have my Horford Celtics jersey. God bless you, man. God bless you. Thank you for joining, Riley. Oh my God. All right. What about you? Oh wait, did you get a grade, Tiago?
Yeah, I mean the guy grabbed 2 rebounds. He gets an F-. The end.
All right. What about you, Serge?
Yeah, quick anecdote. So I was covering the Game 3 out of the 2018 playoffs, the Sixers and Celtics at Wells Fargo Center. And down the stretch, if you guys remember that game, we were down 2-0 to the Celtics. And if we won this one, we bounced back, right? Make it 2-1 the series. And down the stretch, the Celtics stole the ball. Horford got it. He drove, and the ball kind of like barely went in, but it went in. And that was kind of that kind of sealed the deal. We're down 3-0. I'm thinking to myself post-game, man, I wish we had a guy like Al Horford, a guy fundamental, not fancy or anything. He can get the job done towards the end. And, I got what I wished for, right? So, yeah, man, this is terrible. We keep saying it, the worst contract in the NBA. He's past his prime at this point. You do have those guys who can play well past their prime. Horford's not one of them. So, it's in terms of the front office, I mean, they got a lot of work to do come September, October.
Two words,
man.
2 words, Tiago.
Yeah, man, I know. It's terrible.
Tyrell Terry. Tyrell. It's coming, baby. It's coming.
Our luck is gonna go 20th.
No, you better not, man. No way, man.
or 22nd. Or 22nd. But
I'll
definitely-
die. Yeah, Tyrell Terry and Kyra Lewis are like 19 and 20. Like you'll have to like do a deep search for Diabler because I'm out. I'm out. Those are my guys. All right, Thiago, anything you want to plug?
Yeah, man. We got more draft coverage coming out. Keep an eye on some of this process coming up. I'm gonna literally Google every guard on the planet and try to understand what they can bring to this franchise because they need guards ASAP. So
Make sure you follow Thiago on Twitter at @tscabia and Serge. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, man. I got some stuff coming up for the Union. I'm writing an article right now. I'm excited going to games soon. No locker room access or anything, but we can still go to games as a part of the media. So I'm definitely excited about that. Never been to Subaru Park, which is where they play, so I'm excited about that. I applied for all 3 games coming up. So there's one on the 25th. There's one next week and 2 weeks after that. So yeah, just gonna watch the rest of this series go down. Hopefully we win one for pride, right? For dignity. We get 1 game out of this series. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome. That is Serge. Follow him on Twitter at Serge Kumos. Man,
Absolutely.
I'm kind of like all over the place. I've done a lot of college basketball content. I'm excited about DC fandom coming up. If you're a huge DC Comics fan, Batman, you name it, there's a big Comic-Con coming on Saturday. Tomorrow night, we're doing our DC draft. We're picking our collection of best DC films and TV shows of all time. Going to be thrown to Twitter. You guys vote for your best, your favorite collection of teams at SuitUpTPL. On Friday night, we're doing a Mask of the Phantasm versus the Dark Knight Returns podcast. Going to debate which these are like the 2 heavyweights in terms of DC animated films. We're going to debate which is better in terms of story, action, characters, plots, you name it. And then Saturday's DC fandom, I'll be live streaming with Geekly Goods with my man Leo. It's going to be so much fun all day long, talking about all the DC panels. Going to be a blast. So make sure you lock it down to thepaintedlines.com. Follow my man Thiago, my man Serge, myself, for Thiago, for everyone here. Stay awesome, guys. See you next time.
Oh.